Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel, Say What's Real TV. This review is for Tyler Perry's Sistas, Season 5, Episode 21, A Vicious Cycle. So we open up the episode where we left off last week with Zach opening his door to Joey, who claims to be Fatima's baby daddy, allegedly. So Zach, he's in shock. He was like, I didn't know Fatima had kids. Joey wants to know who Zach is. He tells him that he's her fiance. So now Joey doesn't really want to tell anything else. He's like apologizing. He's trying to leave. Zach is begging and pleading for him to stay, come on inside. Now he's being super nice because we saw last week Zach was getting ready to chop the man's head off. But now he wants him to come all in. So he was like, Joey was like, no, I'm gonna go. So they go back and forth with that. Zach ends up saying, well, at least tell me about the child. Tell me about the baby. Joey tells Zach that the little boy is 9 years old and that him and Fatima were together back in D.C. and Fatima left him with the child because she did not want him. So Zach asks him, well, what are you doing here? So Joey tells him that the little boy has started asking a lot of questions because he wants to get to know who his mother is. So Zach was like, okay, I see. Joey feels like he's said enough, so he's ready to go. Zach tries to reassure him that everything is fine, so he was like, well, can you just have Fatima call me? He tells Zach that Fatima does have his phone number, so out of the blue, for whatever odd reason, Zach was like, well, can I get your phone number? Like, what's the number? Like, I heard you say that she got your number, but I need your number. But why, Zach? Why do you need Joey's number? You don't even know this man. Joey was like, hell to the no. And he said deuces and bye. Zach standing in the door like, oh, he just gonna roll up on me. Like, Zach, you can't get mad at that. What you should have been asking him is how the hell he know where y'all live at. That's what the hell I want to know. How does he know how to find Fatima at this particular house? Interesting. So we go over there to the airport where we have Preston at Danny's counter. And I'm thinking maybe he's going home because he's been saying he's going home for the last couple of days. No, Preston is not going home. Preston says that he is there because Mindy, his little side piece, main piece, whatever she is flying in to see him. Now, when Preston came in town, he stayed with Danny for a few days, laid up in her bed, fixed a couple of little meals, and that's where he was. So where does Preston live that now he's going to entertain Mindy? He has a place there because I could have sworn he was supposed to be packing up his little duffel bag and flying back home. So I'm confused. Why is Mindy coming to see you when you don't even really live there in the first place? I don't get it. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. I'm confused. So anyway, the fool has the nerve, the audacity to ask Danny, do he want to meet Mindy when she get off the plane? Now, and I'm like, Danny, why would I want to do that? For what? Why do I want to meet Mindy? I probably would have told him, yeah, let me meet Mindy. Since, you want me to meet her so bad. I probably would have went ahead and met Mindy. Just for the hell of it. And probably would have been petty as hell too, but hey, that's just me. But I would have been like, yeah, let me meet Mindy. He claims he wanted her to meet her because he didn't want Danny to think he was lying. Danny said, I don't think you're lying. So as they're doing all of that, here comes Q, crazy behind, talking about, is he bothering you? Danny was like, look, you can get the hell up out my face. And Preston was like, well, who is this? She says, nobody. So Preston looks at Q and says, another one. Q looks him up and down like, another one? Like, who you calling another one? So Danny said, what? What did you say? He says, oh, nothing. I didn't say nothing. Danny tells him, look, I think you might need to go ahead and get to your gate. And Preston, don't bring your girlfriend back over this way. Preston said, no problem. So Preston gets mad and he walks off and bumps into Q with his shoulder. But Q, he just started laughing and clapping because, he cuckoo anyway. But Preston, I'm confused. If you feel like you can low-key call Danny a hoe, talking about, another one, why are you so anxious to get married to her? Why are you jamming a ring in her face? Why are you constantly calling her every 5 minutes? Why are you popping up to her job if you feel like that? Just go home. Then you're going to bring your girlfriend and try to throw her up in Danny's face like, just move on. Let's do something else. Let's do something different. She told you she didn't want to be with you like that, so it don't matter who she over there hunching. It don't matter when it come to you because the two of you are not together like that. Now, I do think Danny cares for him and, but at this moment, it is what it is. I just think they just need to move on. Let's do something else because the storyline is just not working right now. It's just not. So Q asks Danny what was up with that. She says, look, I'm going to tell you one more time. Get the hell away from me. So Q was like, let me explain. She asked him, did Logan get him the job? He looked all shocked like, you know Logan? Like he's shocked that she knows who Logan is. And she was like, you got my friends locked up for something you did. He says, look, I'm sorry. I'm not a bad person. And she was like, get the hell away from me. So she threatens him with some mace or whatever was in her purse. So he takes heed and he walks off. But I noticed that when Q is talking to Danny, his demeanor is totally different from when he talks to Sabrina, Calvin, and Maurice. Now, I don't know if it's just so he can charm her to try to get somewhere to stay. But hell, at this point, she knows who he is. So hell, just act the same way you act when you talking all rude and crazy with the other crew. Like, does he have split personalities or what? So we head over there to the law firm and we see Gary and Hayden leaving from the meeting with Robin. And these two are overly confident, thinking that they have Robin scared and in a chokehold, thinking that he will not come up with that $3 million that he says he will have by 5 o'clock that afternoon. Gary reassures that they got a great plan going on and that he will be back by 4:59 that afternoon. So while they're wrapping up their conversation, in walks Heather. She speaks to the both of them and Hayden says, oh, you can go wait in my office. Heather, I guess she didn't hear all of that, so she blurts out, you know they called me, right? Hayden is like, who? She says, Zach. So Gary says, you still on that? Talking to Hayden. And Hayden was like, and is? Gary says, well, I'm going to let you handle that, like as if you had a choice. Hayden was like, yeah, you do that. So once Gary leaves, the two of them get to talking. Hayden wants to know why Zach may be calling, and Heather says he says he wants to talk to me. So Hayden thinks that Zach is scared. So they go back and forth about her being able to get the 50%. She mentions how nice Zach's house is. Hayden tells her he feels like she should have a nice house. So I guess Heather felt some kind of way. So the two of them go to staring into each other's eyes and the scene get real awkward. And all of a sudden you hear Heather say, I'm not sucking your thing, no. And Hayden was like, no, it's not even nothing like that. And she's like, okay. So he was like, come on back to the office. I'm like, wait a minute, what the hell just happened? Like, were they flirting or what was that about? So we see Fatima walking, and I don't know who was walking more this particular episode, Fatima or Linda the receptionist. But she sees Heather and Hayden in his office, so she goes to call Tamara to let Tamara know that Heather is in the building. Tamara lets her know she's downstairs in the coffee shop and she'll be right up to put the plan in motion. Fatima wants to know if she's sure that she's ready, and Tamara has to reassure her that, look, I got this. I got him wrapped around my finger, basically, and this is weak sauce. And she told her, I'll call you when it's done. So after hanging up with Tamara, Fatima then calls Zach, who's over there to the house pacing back and forth because, he can't think straight because Joey just left the house with that little bomb he just dropped. So he's like, hey, talking nice and calm. I was surprised. So he was like, I'm fine. She wants to know, have you been to see Karen yet? He said, no, but I am. But I'm coming to see you. We still on for lunch, right? She like, Zach, you already asked me that. He said, whatever. I'm coming to see you first. And she was like, are you all right? What's wrong with you? He was like, I'm good, but I'm coming to see you. I'm on my way. She was like, all right, not knowing what Zach had for her when he got there. So we head over there to the jail where we see Sabrina and Calvin, I guess, waiting for Maurice to be processed out. And I could have sworn last week that Calvin said he didn't want to be a part of that. That's what I thought I heard, but here we are with him jammed up to Sabrina's shoulder. So we have to hear the same dialogue we always hear about Bayo and the relationship these two may or may not have, Calvin's insecurities. He wants to know where he stands because he realizes that Sabrina does like Bayo. She admits that she likes Bayo, and Calvin just wants to know where is he? He's been at her house. Like, does that mean anything? Like, Calvin, just because you've been at her house doesn't mean you're her man. Like, I don't know what the two of you got going on, because the two of you, I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. She likes Bayo for whatever reason. Then she tells him, well, I just met him. So really, Sabrina, you don't know if you like him or not. You just know the fact that this man gave you $1.5 million. So yeah, of course you like him. Okay. Calvin wants to know where he's getting his money from. Sabrina tells him he's this prince, and Calvin basically called bullshit. Like, oh, so you got this coming to America, ninja. And she was like, no, I'm for real. So he says he doesn't stand a chance at this point. And you probably don't, not when it's coming to all that kind of money. But, you know, it is what it is. Like, just like with Preston, Calvin, look, y'all gonna have to find y'all some other women. All this begging and pleading and hanging around somebody who basically telling you they want somebody else or don't want you at all, it's just becoming really, really ridiculous. You guys need the shit or either get off the pot. Like, it's annoying. It really is. And the thing with Sabrina, I don't feel like, even with all the other ladies, I don't feel like they have to, each episode, be dealing with what they have to go through when it comes with a man being jammed in their face. Sabrina has other issues that we could be seeing. We could be seeing her get through. She has a mom that apparently is sick. She has lost her job. So why do we have to be subject to her being confronted by Calvin every episode with the same dialogue, looking at her with these puppy dog eyes and face every time? Life is not all about just dealing with being in a relationship with a man. You have other aspects in life that you have to deal with. You have other struggles in life. It's not always about a man. So just because you have 4 women that are friends, why each and every one of them has to go through, every episode we have to see them going through men issues? There are other things in life that they can be dealing with that they can discuss with their friends as well, and that help them get through. Sabrina has those issues, so we don't have to see Calvin every episode, you know, with his insecurities. We don't, the truth be told, don't give a damn. Child, but anyway, here comes Maurice pooching through the door. He's finally free for now. So Sabrina, she's happy to see him. She's trying to hug on him. He's all turned to the side, all guarded, like, ooh, child, don't touch me with your dirty hands, like he didn't just come from out this dirty-ass jail cell. Acting real, like, snobbish and, you know, like with this elitist attitude. You should have came out hugging them, you know, being very grateful and thankful. And he's like, Calvin goes to try to hug on him and, you know, let him know he missed him. He pushed Calvin off of him, talking about, why are you here? Like, where's Bayo? You know, his African prince, you know, knight in shining armor. You know, like, real just rude. I didn't like it. I felt like you could have stayed your ass in jail. That's what you should have did. Stayed in jail with your ungrateful ass. So later on, we see that they get Maurice home. So he comes inside the house with his eyes closed and goes to sit down and falls, because now we see that Q has taken everything out of the house. When he had time to do all that between leaving Danny's house and going straight to work is beyond me. But, you know, it is what it is. So Maurice, you know, he's shocked and he's like, you know, he's come home to nothing. Like, what is going on? So they tell him about Q, that he came home one day and Q wouldn't leave and he's been trying to get him out. Basically, Maurice goes off on Calvin and tells Calvin, he questions his manhood and basically told him that all of this was his fault, like 100%. He also tells Calvin that he doesn't even know why he allowed him to live with him, probably hurting the man's feelings even more. He's already dealing with the whole Bayo Sabrina thing, and now He has Maurice blaming everything on him. So I guess he's feeling some kind of way. He says he's not going to deal with it. He's going to take a walk. Maurice still yelling at him, talking about, yeah, you go and do that. So after Calvin leaves, Sabrina is trying to let Maurice know that Calvin has done everything he could to try to get Q up out that apartment. But Maurice still is questioning the fact that Calvin is a man and that he should have been able to get Q up out of there. But you constantly tease Calvin about how soft he may be. You know what I'm saying? But then you blame him for not getting crazy as Q about your apartment. But anyway, Sabrina tells Maurice that you need to take responsibility. You know, Calvin has damn near killed Q to try to get him out of here and beat him with a golf club for you. Calvin has damn near gave up all his funds, his last little bit of money, willing to do whatever for you. And that's how you talked to him and told him that he needed to apologize. So, you know, and she also let him know, look, he has ruined, this man Q is ruining our lives. We were in jail, Maurice. Reality check, jail. The two of you have lost your jobs. I don't know if Maurice know that or not, but I know damn well if Sabrina lost her job, Maurice shouldn't have a job either. So Sabrina does give him the whole I told you so spiel about even messing with Q in the first place. And of course, Maurice, even though he acknowledges it, he doesn't want to hear it. So she tells him he's dead ass wrong and he needs to start making things right by first trying to apologize to Calvin. And, you know, she also lets him know that now Q is working at the airport. So he's questioning how could he work there and wants to know, did Danny help him get that job? And I'm like, well, what difference does that make? Because are you going to feel some kind of way when you find out that Danny has slept with Q? That's going to be interesting. So she also lets him know that Q stole his car. And, you know, he's like, God damn. So that's just another thing thrown at him, like, you know, he has nothing. And I kind of understand that he feels a certain kind of way, but I don't feel sorry for Maurice at all. And I guess in this moment, Sabrina tells him that she's going to leave. You know, she has something to do, I guess. And it seems to me like he felt some kind of way, as if to say, like, you're going to leave me at my lowest point type attitude. And like, oh, well, just go. And, you know, she's like, I love you. And he's like, just go. Like, I'm like, Maurice showed his entire ass this entire episode. And it wasn't a good look. I don't feel sorry for him. And he does need to apologize to Calvin and also take full responsibility for being the one, you know, hunching up on Q and bringing him into everybody else's lives. It is what it is. So we head over there to the law firm where we have Hayden and Heather in the office talking about the whole Zach conversation. And Hayden is setting a plan in motion to where he wants Heather to call Zach and set up a meeting, and he's going to actually show up. So he's trying to tell her what the plan is when Linda, the receptionist, walks in and lets him know that Tamara is there. So Hayden tells Heather to go ahead and give Zach a call so they can set up a meeting to execute their plan. But when Tamara comes in the office, he tells her, he asks her, can she take her call outside? So the two of them, they pass each other as Heather is walking out of the office. And Tamara questions Hayden, like, who was that? Hayden tells her she's just a client, someone he's helping out. It's a child support case. So she lays it on thick, telling him that she might have to end the relationship because she doesn't want her feelings hurt. Her ex used to sleep with people at the job. And she's like, oh, I'm not crazy. And he was like, no, you know, whatever. You know, what do you want me to do? She was like, well, is there any way you can get somebody else to do it? And, you know, he thinks about it. And she was like, I know, I'm being jealous. He was like, yeah, you kind of are. So he's like, well, you know, I'll go ahead and get someone to do it. And she was like, oh, no, well, don't do that for me. You know, I don't even know you. He's like, no, you don't. Oh, like, she killed me when she say that. Like, I don't even know you, but you done laid it on thick. She done told a man, talk about, you see how you look. Like, I don't want nobody else to be getting that. It's the way you put it on me. And he's like, oh, it's like that? So, you know, his nose is wide open at this point. So he tells Tamara when Heather comes back in the office, he's gonna tell her he can't work on the case. So Tamara is like, well, I'm so insecure. He says, that's fine, don't worry about it. She says, well, can I see you tonight? He says, you better. And those two just, smiling and cheesing. I think they're going to end up being a couple for real, for real. And that's going to be interesting. But I actually think they make a cute little couple. So when Heather comes back into the office, Hayden lets her know that it's something he wants to talk to her about. And I thought that was very unprofessional of him to dismiss her like that in front of Tamara. So he lets her know, look, I'm not going to be able to work on your case, but I have a colleague. And she was like, college? I didn't go to college. He said, no, a colleague. And she was like, I don't know her. So Hayden was like, look, I'm sorry. I'm not going to be able to do it. I don't know what to tell you. So she was like, look, you full of shit, you corny bastard. So Tamara was like, hey, don't talk to him like that. So Heather waved her fingers in Tamara's face, talking about, you shitty too, talking about you corny bastards. So once Heather is gone, Tamara goes to Hayden and was like, I'm sorry. He's sitting there skinning and grinning, like feeling good about himself, like, yeah, I got me a little rider. And he tells her, well, it's all good. She ain't nothing but a hood rat. But little does he know the irony of it all is, so is Tamara. And it's going to be interesting when he finds out her true identity. But I believe once he finds out who she really is, it won't even matter because he already, too far gone anyway. So, they say their goodbyes. And as she's walking down the hallway, we see once again Fatima walking down the hallway, and they pass each other, which kind of lets Fatima know her plan has worked. So when Fatima finally makes it back to her office, we see Heather storming in there uninvited. So she's like, oh, you guys are playing games, this and that and the other. She tells Fatima that Hayden has dropped her as a client and she's just going to get another lawyer. And Fatima's like, well, if that's what you want to do, go ahead. But Zach does have a lot of money, and this process can be quite lengthy if you choose that route. And there are other options. Basically, just have a talk with Zach. She states that she's called Zach. He has not answered the phone. Now, we have seen several times in past episodes, Zach says he has called Heather several times and can't reach her. So they're playing phone tag. So she convinces her that Zach is willing to take care of his kids and that he's a good guy. And this conversation should have been had a while ago. They have a nice, decent conversation. No heads were being banged into the wall or anything. So Fatima asked her to come by, quote unquote, her house later on, and she'll text her the time. She was like, for real? Like, are you sure? Is Zach going to be there? They make a little jokey joke. And she was like, of course he'll be there. So she agrees, and when Heather leaves, Fatima, she feels great because now her plan is actually working. So we head over there to Andy's office, and we see Karen returning Andy's phone call from earlier. So the two of them, they start talking, but then Sabrina clicks in on the other line. Andy answers it, and Sabrina tells her she just got Maurice out of jail. And Andy tells her, well, let me click you in on the other line because I have Karen on there. So all three of them are now on the phone. So Sabrina is like, can you guys meet me at Danny's house later? And Karen is like, well, what's going on? So Sabrina tells them that she saw Danny with Q. And Karen says, oh, the same Q? So apparently everybody knows who Q is except Danny. So they bring up this whole college thing again, trying to make that this big thing, but not telling us actually what happened just when she gets stressed out. I guess she starts rotating the men in and out. But quiet as it's kept, since this series started, season 1, Danny has been rotating them in and out. So if Danny is now in her 30s, she has been doing this the whole time. So why is it that when she sleeps with Q, who she had no idea who this person was, because in her mind, he was just like all the rest of them that we've seen throughout this series, right? But my thing is, when she slept with Jonah or had this whole incident with Jonah, nobody said a word. Nobody said a mumbling word. This girl almost killed this man. He could have killed her. He hit her. He beat her. He spit in her face. And nobody said a word. She needed counseling I feel just from that alone. So she should have had her intervention in. Y'all done gathered around since then. Nobody said a word about it. Not one word. But because she slept with somebody that got Sabrina and Maurice arrested, now we got to have a come to Jesus meeting. No, she been hunching like 90 going north. So what is the difference now? Y'all should have did that with the whole Jonah thing. Not because of Q. Now, I do agree that Danny probably needs to seek some type of professional counseling. And, it's good that the girls are willing to attempt to talk to her, but don't make it about one particular person when this has been going on for quite some time now. So, that's all I'm saying. So the three of them agree to meet at Danny's house later on. So in walks Miss Linda, the receptionist. We see her again, and she's telling Andy that Gary's there to see her. So Gary, he comes in, and the two of them, they get to talking in some kind of way. They end up hugging and all of that. The only reason Gary took his ass in there is because he wanted Robin to see him in the office with Andy all hugged up. But come to find out, Robin wasn't even in his office, per Andy. So they're going back and forth, and Andy asks him, did he tell Robin that she was involved in whatever game he's playing? And he was like, no, I didn't tell him anything. And he wants to know, can he come over to her house? And she's like, oh, I'll think about it, trying to play this little cat and mouse game when she know goddamn well he's going to be over her house anyway. So I don't know why we go through that every episode either. But again, all he is trying to do, he's still hugging her, and as he's hugging her, she putting makeup on his suit, and he's still looking over there, and Robin's cutting his eye over there to Robin's office like, look, we don't have time for this foolishness. Like, we don't have the time. So we go over there to the salon, and we see Karen. She's in her office when Aaron comes in with some lunch. So I guess we are supposed to forget that we had a whole scenario last episode where Aaron came in with this same lunch and told her she was going to stop working before her next client, and she needed to get something to eat, and he was going to go get the spoons. We're supposed to forget all that, but, okay, moving on. And now they're eating, and Karen says thank you. She thanks him for being good to her once again, and he was like, he's glad it's working, this and that. Pam comes in and tells Aaron that someone is there to see him, and her name is Jennifer. So he was like, for me. So they get up, they go out front, and he says, what are you doing here? She said, we need to talk. So they go out front, and he's like, don't do this, don't do this. She was like, you know what you did, you know what you did. And he's telling her, stop acting crazy. She's calling him John. She's cursing him out in Spanish. He's telling her, stop calling me John, just go, all this and that. On the inside, we got Pam narrating everything for Karen, telling her how Aaron done got the dog shit slapped out of him, how it couldn't be me because Karen acting unbothered. Karen don't care what's going on outside. She working on her client's head. She could care less at this point. But Pam's so good at it, Karen finally turns to look and see what's going on, and I guess something catches her eye. Pam says, I'm getting ready to call the police on fine-ass Aaron. And that's when Karen decides she's going to go outside to see what's going on. And Pam was like, now that's what I'm talking about. Pam is crazy. So we go over to Fatima's office, and we see Linda, the receptionist, once again. She's there to tell Fatima that Zach is in the break room waiting on her. But before she walks off, Fatima asks her about the application that Tamara had. And she told her that Hayden had her turn it into HR. Fatima wanted to know would she be able to go and retrieve that for her, and she told her no problem. So Fatima dodged a bullet with that one. So Fatima gets to the break room. We see Zach, he's pacing back and forth. So when she gets in there, she's like, oh, no, sir, this is not part of the plan, because she don't see any kind of lunch nowhere in Zach's hands. So she was like, what, we getting ready to go somewhere? Zach is like, yeah, oh yeah, we getting ready to go there. So she was like, wait, do I need to go get my purse? And he was like, just give me a second. So Zach says, do I know everything? And Fatima was like, what are you talking about? He says, do I know everything about your life? And, she's hesitant, like, because I would have been like, well, I guess, like, what you mean? But truth be told, you guys, I don't even think they've been together 6 months, and you haven't even met each other's families. So really, I would have said, no, you probably don't, because I really don't know what you're getting at. Because, you really don't know everything there is to know. And who really tells every single piece of their life within the first, you know, 6 months like that? But in this particular situation, this is something a person would need to know. But I mean, like in general, a person is not going to know every aspect of your life from beginning to end, and you guys have been together 6 months or less. Like, come on, and you haven't even met each other's family. So I would have answered probably not, but what's up? But Fatima, she says, yeah, you do. And it seemed like she got a little nervous, and Zach was like, are you sure? And she was like, mm-hmm. So Zach says, so you're not going to tell me about Joey and your son? And Fatima went to looking crazy like, how the hell does he know about that? And that's where the episode ends. Ooh, child. So we got the finale next week, and we have so many questions that needs to be answered, but you know how they do. We probably won't get the answers to half of them. We'll just be led into season 6 not knowing half of the stuff. I want to know, is Joey's son Fatima's biological child? Because to me, it's giving baby kid. That's what I get. But hey, I'm sure there'll be a twist somewhere in there. And also, I am quite intrigued by John, Aaron, and Jennifer. I needs to know more of that. So drop down in the comments and let me know what you guys think. What's your thoughts, theories, and predictions for the finale? As always, thank you guys for watching. Thanks for listening. And I'll catch you on the finale. Peace.